Amy Fu, Surfrider Foundation. First of all, I'd just like to say that Surfrider supports the Coastal Commission's draft Residential Adaptation Policy Guidance. In light of sea level rise, the public trust boundary along our shoreline will gradually move inland over time. Under the public trust doctrine, the Coastal Commission, cities, and counties are obligated to proactively manage our public trust resources and consider how sea level rise is likely to affect them. If not proactively managed through progressive sea level rise adaptation policies and managed retreat, or whatever you want to call it, seawalls and other coastal development will impede the inland migration of our shoreline and damage or even destroy our public trust resources. As a background principle of state property law, the public trust doctrine establishes limitations on private property interests. Thus, governments can regulate the use of shoreline armoring as an exercise of the public trust, such as to prevent nuisances that impair public trust resources without being required to compensate private property owners for takings. Furthermore, we would argue that the public trust doctrine requires current coastal planners to ensure that our future public trust interests are not negatively affected through short-sighted land use and development permitting decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Graham Hamilton, Surfrider Foundation, Los Angeles Chapter Coordinator. From the Port of LA, where 40% of the nation's goods are offloaded to a native Chumash heritage site and the birthplace of modern surfing at Humaliwu, LA's beaches and coastal infrastructure are existentially threatened. The impacts of climate change and sea level rise are gripping our communities. Public agencies excel in emergency situations, but we need officials brave enough to adopt proactive measures that keep us from catastrophe in the first place. Each coastal community is no doubt unique and will require specialized approaches to adaptation. Our ability to safeguard coastal commons and public and private infrastructure will hinge upon our ability to develop localized, nuanced, and nature-based solutions for future challenges that we're only beginning to comprehend. Managed retreat is nothing new. The removal of sunken city homes in 1929 at Palos Verdes, the removal of 35 homes at Topanga Beach in 1979 after Hurricane Kathleen. Both examples and more for all of us as we look to move it on up.
Good afternoon, Denise Zirkinath from Surfrider's South Orange County chapter. Orange County does not have a certified local coastal program for several segments of our coastline. And none of the certified LCP segments have been comprehensively updated since the 1980s. Our standard response in the county to erosion has been hard armoring. Unfortunately, unfortunately that, such as rock revetments, riprap, etc., exacerbates erosion. With sea level rise, our beaches will eventually completely disappear if we continue to armor our coasts. We're asking that this body take a moment to reflect before rushing to give out emergency permits to armor our beaches in a knee-jerk response to erosion. Weigh in this body on our management of our coast, and that should be in the form of long-term hazard.
Jim Myers from Surfrider Slow. I'd like to recommend, given my short time, I'd like to recommend a picture that's probably worth 1,000 words. Before you leave Slow, please treat yourself to a walk along the Shell Beach bluffs. You'll see a dramatic juxtaposition of two stark alternatives. On one hand, you'll see the sad ruins of many ill-advised past attempts at bluff armoring. On the other hand, you'll experience several fine bluff parks. These parks are the result of collaborations between the community and government to implement conservation solutions that enhance our coast for everyone. You have a chance to take these past successes to a new level by approving the adaptation guidance on residential development. Thank you all for your service.
Good afternoon, Mandy Sackett, Surfrider Foundation's headquarters. You should have our letter in front of you.
Emerging research is shedding light on the urgency of sea level rise planning. The cost of sea level rise and climate change adaptation will increase exponentially over time. The National Institute of Building Sciences found that mitigation funding can save the nation $6 in future disaster costs for every $1 spent on hazard mitigation. If we don't work smart mitigation, including managed retreat, into our plans now, it will be incredibly more costly over time, and we will lose our beaches in the meantime. We cannot kick the can down the road any longer. Each permitting and planning decision we make today is deciding which beaches and coastal habitats we want to save from sea level rise. Coastal landowners and planners will inevitably attempt to act to protect their assets from these losses with seawalls, but this will come at the expense of public resources. An action alert we issued for this workshop generated nearly 500 letters to the Commission in support of their sea level rise planning guidance, preservation of our natural coastline, and avoidance of hard armoring. By and large, Californians do not want to sacrifice their beaches.
Thank you. After the speaker will be Jen Eckerly.
Good afternoon, commissioners and local government representatives. My name is Delia Benz-King, and I'm with the Surfrider Foundation. One of the things the California coast is most known for is surfing, and I know a few of you and a few of the people in the room surf. Unfortunately, sea level rise poses a significant threat to destroying the iconic California waves and beaches that many surfers and beachgoers enjoy. The threat is that the placement of armoring structures results in immediate beach loss. One major source of sand comes from eroding cliffs and bluffs. Structures such as seawalls and bluff retaining walls capture the eroding sand and prevent the beaches in front from being replenished. This sand is what creates many iconic waves, such as Malibu and Rincon. When we meet rising seas with seawalls and revetments, we lose our beaches, the recreational opportunities they provide, and the benefits of our the benefits they bring to our coastal economy. That is why we support the Coastal Commission's draft residential adaptation guidelines and adaptation solutions that avoid hard armoring. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen.
Bringing it home here. I'm Jen Eckerly. I'm the Deputy Director of the Ocean Protection Council. And first, I just want to say thank you for